Disney Castle is next, but the real adventure there leads into Timeless River. Disney Castle is under threat because something is wrong with the Cornerstone of Light. Sora, Donald, and Goofy travel into the past through a door created by Merlin, arriving in Timeless River, a black and white world based on early Disney animation. Here they meet an older version of Pete and see the past version of Mickey before he became king. The story is about protecting the past so Disney Castle's future can remain safe. One of the major fights happens on the steamboat. Pete is trying to escape, and Sora has to use reaction commands to pull the boat closer and keep the fight under control. This makes the battlefield different from a normal boss fight, because Sora is not only attacking Pete, he is also managing the boat and using the environment to stay close to him. After that, Sora has to chase Pete through different scenes of Timeless River. Each scene has its own challenge, almost like moving through different old cartoon episodes. Sora fights Pete while dealing with changing locations and the chaos Pete creates across the world. These battles are playful, fast, and comedic, but they still matter to the story because Pete is trying to change history. By defeating Pete in the past, Sora protects the Cornerstone of Light and saves Disney Castle's future. Timeless River works as a story break, but it also reinforces a bigger theme. The past matters. If the past is damaged, the present changes. That matters a lot in Kingdom Hearts, where memories and identity are constantly connected. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy first arrive in Port Royal, the world immediately feels different from the others. It is darker, more realistic, and heavier in tone. This world is based on Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and it brings Sora into a story about cursed treasure, undead pirates, and the power of greed. The trio lands at the fort in Port Royal, where they quickly run into trouble. The town is under attack, and Sora meets Will Turner, who is trying to save Elizabeth Swan. Elizabeth has been taken by Captain Barbossa and his cursed crew because she has one of the Aztec gold medallions. She also claimed her last name was Turner, which makes Barbossa believe her blood may be the final piece needed to break the curse. The medallion was actually Will's, and Elizabeth had taken it years earlier because she feared Will would be exposed as a pirate. Sora, Donald, and Goofy also meet Jack Sparrow, who wants his ship, the Black Pearl, back from Barbossa. Jack joins the party, and together they set sail after Barbossa's crew. This is where Port Royal introduces one of its main gameplay rules. The cursed pirates cannot be damaged normally unless their skeletal forms are exposed in the moonlight. If they are standing in darkness, their curse protects them, so Sora has to lure them into moonlit areas before attacking. The group sails aboard the Interceptor and chases the Black Pearl across the sea. Along the way, Sora has to deal with pirate ambushes and undead enemies while protecting the medallion. If Sora takes heavy damage, the medallion can fall and a pirate can pick it up. When that happens, Sora has to defeat the pirate, carrying it quickly, and recover the medallion before the situation gets worse. Eventually, the chase leads to Isla de Muerta, the hidden island where Barbossa and his crew keep the cursed Aztec treasure. Sora, Donald, Goofy, Jack, and Will push through the caves to reach the inner chamber. Before reaching Barbossa, there are battles against groups of undead pirates, including a timed survival section where the party must hold off waves of pirates long enough for Will and Elizabeth to escape back to the ship. The story builds toward the boss fight against Captain Barbossa, but Barbossa is not alone. Pete appears and summons a special Heartless called the Illuminator. This Heartless is important because it absorbs the moonlight and fills the cave with darkness, protecting Barbossa from being damaged. The Illuminator is a chameleon-like Heartless with glowing eyes and a lantern on its tail, and Sora has to find and attack it first before Barbossa can be properly fought. The Barbossa boss fight is one of the most unique fights in Kingdom Hearts 2's Disney worlds. At the start, the room is dark, and Barbossa is difficult to see or damage. Sora has to look for the Illuminator's glowing eyes in the darkness, lock on, and defeat it. Once the Illuminator is gone, moonlight fills the chamber again, exposing Barbossa and making him vulnerable. During the fight, Barbossa attacks with sword slashes, rushing strikes, pistol shots, and bombs. Sora has to keep the fight in moonlit areas, because just like the other cursed pirates, Barbossa is protected when he is in shadow. Jack must also stay alive during this fight, or the battle is lost, so keeping Jack healed is important. This fight also includes special reaction command moments with Jack. When the opportunity appears, Sora can use reaction commands like Twin Counter, which leads into a follow-up attack with Jack, allowing the two of them to punish Barbossa together. These reaction commands make the fight feel more cinematic and connect the battle directly to Jack's rivalry with Barbossa. After Barbossa is defeated, the curse is broken and Jack's story reaches its first resolution. Jack gets closer to reclaiming his place as captain. Will and Elizabeth survive the danger, and Sora's group completes their first visit to Port Royal. Afterward, Jack's compass glows, opening new routes for Sora to explore, and Sora receives the Follow the Wind Keyblade as the world's reward. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy return to Port Royal for the second visit, the world's story shifts back to the curse of the Aztec gold. Jack Sparrow is in trouble again, and this time, the problem is connected to Organization XIII. The trio discovers that the cursed treasure has been stolen, and Jack has become undead again. This means the curse has returned, and the medallions are once again the key to everything. Sora, Donald, Goofy, Jack, and Will head out to investigate, eventually sailing toward Isla de Muerta. That is where Luxord, a member of Organization XIII, appears. Luxord is not interested in fighting like a normal villain at first. Instead, he treats everything like a game. He steals the chest of Aztec medallions and uses the curse to his advantage. Luxord summons the Grim Reaper Heartless, a powerful enemy connected to the cursed treasure. At first, Sora and the others fight the Grim Reaper on the ship. The battle seems manageable, and they are able to knock the Heartless overboard. But Luxord is not finished. He has his Gambler Nobodies steal several of the medallions, which causes the curse to activate again. The Grim Reaper comes back stronger, now empowered by the cursed gold. Luxord then attacks the ship with cannon fire, sinking the interceptor and forcing Sora's group to recover. After that, the goal becomes clear. Sora has to recover the stolen medallions. The party travels across Port Royal, Isla de Muerta, and the ship graveyard searching for Gambler Nobodies carrying the medallions. These encounters are different from normal battles because the Gambler Nobodies can escape if Sora does not defeat them quickly. Once each gambler is defeated, Sora has to collect the medallion it drops. After recovering the stolen medallions, the group realizes Luxord has taken the chest back to Port Royal. This leads to the main boss fight of the second visit, the Cursed Grim Reaper. This fight is one of the most unique battles in Kingdom Hearts 2 because Sora cannot simply attack the boss normally the whole time. While the Grim Reaper is powered by the cursed medallions, it becomes invulnerable to regular damage. To weaken it, Sora has to use magic, such as thunder, fire, or blizzard, to make the Grim Reaper drop the medallions it is holding. Then, Sora has to gather the medallions and return them to the chest. The battle becomes a cycle. Use magic to knock medallions loose, collect them from the ground, return them to the chest, and then attack the Grim Reaper once the curse is lifted. If the Grim Reaper steals the medallions again, Sora has to repeat the process. During the fight, the Grim Reaper may try to pull the medallions back with a whirlwind attack. When that happens, Sora can use reaction commands, like Hinder and Loot Launch, to interrupt it and make the boss drop a large amount of medallions. Once all the medallions are returned to the chest, the curse is broken temporarily and the Grim Reaper becomes vulnerable. That is Sora's chance to go in with combos, drive forms, limits, or strong physical attacks. But the opening does not last forever, so the player has to stay focused and repeat the medallion strategy until the Grim Reaper is defeated. After the battle, Jack is freed from the curse, but Luxord takes the Grim Reaper's released heart and escapes through a corridor of darkness. This is important because it reminds Sora that Organization XIII is still using him. Every time Sora defeats Heartless with the Keyblade, the hearts they release can be gathered for the organization's Kingdom Hearts. Port Royal's second visit is not just another pirate adventure. It shows Luxord's style as a villain, brings back the danger of the Aztec curse, and gives Sora one of the most mechanic-heavy boss fights in the game. Instead of simply attacking, Sora has to understand the curse, recover the medallions, protect the chest, and fight the Grim Reaper at the right moments. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy arrive in Agrabah for the first visit in Kingdom Hearts 2, they are returning to a world they already saved in Kingdom Hearts 1. Back then, Agrabah was under threat from Jafar, who wanted Princess Jasmine, the magic lamp, and the power of the keyhole. Sora, Aladdin, Donald, and Goofy defeated Jafar after he became a genie, trapped him inside his lamp, and helped free Genie from his old life of granting wishes. But now, when Sora returns, Agrabah is not completely peaceful. The visit begins with Sora, Donald, and Goofy landing in the city, where they quickly run into Iago. This is important because Iago was once Jafar's sidekick. In Kingdom Hearts 1, he helped Jafar cause trouble, so Sora's group does not fully trust him at first. Iago tries to explain that he has changed. He wants to make up for what he did in the past, and he wants Aladdin and Jasmine to forgive him. But before Sora can decide whether to believe him, Heartless appear in the city. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are forced into battle. This opening fight throws Sora into Agrabah's streets against waves of Heartless. It is not a major boss fight, but it sets the tone for the world. Agrabah may look familiar, but danger is still everywhere. Heartless are still appearing, and the city is still vulnerable. After the battle, Iago helps the group escape into a nearby alley. He insists again that he wants to help, and even though Sora is unsure, they decide to hear him out. Iago tells them that Aladdin might be at the palace, so Sora, Donald, and Goofy head there. At the palace, Sora reunites with Princess Jasmine. Jasmine is happy to see him again, but she is also worried. Aladdin has not been acting like himself lately. He is not in danger exactly, but he seems restless and unhappy. Genie and Carpet have gone off traveling around the world, and without them, Aladdin feels like something is missing. This is one of the quieter, emotional parts of Agrabah's first visit. Aladdin is not being corrupted by darkness or controlled by a villain. He is simply struggling with change. His life is different now. He is living closer to the palace, his friends are away, and he seems caught between who he used to be and who he is becoming. Sora's group goes looking for him. They soon find Aladdin chasing after Abu, who has stolen a black lamp from the peddler. At first, it looks like one of Abu's usual greedy mistakes. He sees something shiny, grabs it, and causes trouble. But this time, the item is much more dangerous than it first appears. When Iago sees the lamp, he immediately recognizes it. It is Jafar's lamp. That means Jafar is still trapped inside, but the danger is not gone. If the lamp falls into the wrong hands, Jafar could be released again. Sora, Aladdin, Donald, Goofy, and Iago understand how serious this is, so they try to buy the lamp from the peddler. But the peddler refuses to hand it over cheaply. He wants treasure in exchange. Not just any treasure, he wants something worthy of a sultan. Aladdin does not want to worry Jasmine or the sultan, so the group decides to find treasure themselves. Iago suggests the Cave of Wonders, and Sora's group heads into the desert with Aladdin. This begins the adventure portion of Agrabah's first visit. The Cave of Wonders is filled with Heartless, traps, and puzzles. Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Aladdin fight enemies like Luna Bandits, Silver Rocks, Fat Bandits, Fortune Tellers, Fiery Globes, and Icy Cubes. The enemies fit the world's desert atmosphere, with bandit-like Heartless attacking in the streets and magical enemies appearing deeper inside the cave. Inside the Cave of Wonders, Abu becomes important. Even though Abu caused the problem by stealing the lamp, he also helps the group move forward. During one trap section, Sora has to guide Abu with reaction commands like, "Go, Abu," and "Jump," helping him dodge dangerous waves of water and continue through the cave. This gives Abu a small redemption moment. He is still mischievous, but he is also part of the team. His curiosity caused trouble, but his help also gets the group closer to the treasure they need. The party continues deeper into the cave and reaches the Chasm of Challenges. This section is built like a descent through enemy-filled rooms. Sora has to defeat Heartless quickly and keep moving downward until the group reaches the treasure chamber. Once they reach the treasure, they find a valuable golden trophy covered with gems. It looks like exactly the kind of treasure the peddler would accept in exchange for Jafar's lamp. But before they can leave peacefully, Pete appears. Pete is working for Maleficent, and he wants Jafar's lamp for himself. His plan is simple but dangerous. If he can get the lamp, Jafar can be released and used as another weapon of darkness. Pete summons Heartless to slow Sora down and then runs back toward Agrabah. Sora, Donald, Goofy, Aladdin, and Iago defeat the Heartless inside the cave and rush back to the city. When they return to the peddler's shop, the shop is empty. Then, they hear shouting outside. Pete is chasing the peddler, trying to steal the lamp. The peddler is running for his life, still holding onto Jafar's lamp, while Pete tries to snatch it away. The chase moves toward the palace, and the situation quickly turns chaotic. Iago tries to help by grabbing the lamp, but even that does not go smoothly. The lamp gets tossed around, and everyone is trying to keep it out of Pete's hands. This whole scene feels almost comedic, but the danger underneath it is serious. If Pete gets the lamp, Jafar could return. Then Genie appears. Genie and Carpet have finally returned from their travels, and Genie's arrival gives the scene a burst of energy. Aladdin is happy to see him again, but Pete's frustration grows. When Pete realizes he is losing control of the situation, he summons two powerful Heartless. This leads to the final boss fight of Agrabah's first visit, Volcanic Lord and Blizzard Lord. This is a double boss fight, and both enemies are elemental opposites. Volcanic Lord is a fire-based Heartless. He attacks with flames, fire projectiles, and burning area attacks. He can set party members on fire, making the fight more dangerous if Sora does not respond quickly. Blizzard Lord is an ice-based Heartless. He attacks with freezing blasts, ice projectiles, and cold-based magic. He can freeze party members, forcing Sora to stay alert and counter the effect. The key idea of the fight is using opposite elements. Volcanic Lord is weak to ice, and Blizzard Lord is weak to fire. Sora can use blizzard magic against the fire enemy and fire magic against the ice enemy to deal more effective damage. The fight also uses special reaction commands. Against Volcanic Lord, Sora can trigger Firagoon, countering its attack and launching it into Blizzard Lord. Against Blizzard Lord, Sora can trigger Blizzagun, stopping its ice attack and sending it crashing into Volcanic Lord. These reaction commands are important because they let Sora use one boss against the other. Instead of only attacking them separately, Sora can turn their own elemental power into openings. As the fight continues, the two bosses can break apart into smaller Heartless, fiery globes, and icy cubes. Sora has to clear these smaller enemies while waiting for the main bodies to reform. This keeps the battle moving and makes it feel like the bosses are unstable elemental forces rather than normal monsters. Once Sora defeats Volcanic Lord and Blizzard Lord, Pete's plan fails. He does not get Jafar's lamp, and he runs away angry. The lamp is finally safe, and Aladdin makes sure it is sealed away inside the palace where it cannot easily be used again. With the threat stopped, the mood in Agrabah becomes lighter. Genie and Carpet are back, which immediately makes Aladdin feel more like himself again. The sadness and restlessness he was feeling earlier begin to lift. Aladdin missed his friends, and having them return reminds him that he is not alone. Iago also takes another step toward earning forgiveness. He is not instantly trusted by everyone, but he helps during the crisis, and that matters. Agrabah's first visit gives him a chance to prove that he wants to change. At the end of the visit, Sora receives the lamp charm, which allows him to summon Genie in battle. This is a meaningful reward because Genie was once Aladdin's friend and ally, and now he becomes someone Sora can call on during his own journey. Agrabah's first visit is important because it does not fully bring Jafar back yet. Instead, it builds tension around the possibility of his return. The entire story is about protecting the lamp before the real disaster happens. Abu steals it by accident. The peddler tries to profit from it. Pete tries to steal it. Iago recognizes the danger. Aladdin wants to stop it without worrying Jasmine, and Sora steps in to keep Jafar sealed away. This visit is also about friendship and change. Aladdin is struggling because Genie and Carpet are gone. Iago is trying to prove he is no longer Jafar's servant. Abu causes trouble but also helps fix it. Genie returns at the right time, and Sora's group helps Agrabah hold on to peace before darkness can take advantage of greed and temptation. By the end of Agrabah's first visit, Jafar remains sealed, Pete has failed, the lamp is protected, Genie has returned, and Sora continues his journey with a new summon. The world ends with Agrabah safe for now. But the fact that Jafar's lamp was almost stolen is a warning. The danger is not finished. And when Sora returns later, that warning becomes real. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy return to Agrabah for the second visit, the danger that was only being teased in the first visit has finally become real. During the first visit, Jafar's lamp was protected. Pete tried to get it, the peddler tried to profit from it, and Sora's group worked hard to make sure Jafar stayed sealed away. But now, when Sora returns to Agrabah, that protection has failed. The visit begins inside the peddler's shop, and immediately something feels suspicious. The shop is no longer simple and ordinary. It is filled with gold, treasure, and expensive decorations. The peddler claims everything came from honest work, but Sora can tell something is wrong. Sora asks if the peddler has seen anyone in a black coat, because Organization XIII is still moving through the worlds. The peddler acts like he knows nothing, but before Sora can get a real answer, Aladdin rushes in with Iago and Abu. Aladdin reveals the truth. The peddler let Jafar out of the lamp. This is a huge problem because Jafar is not just another villain. Sora already defeated him back in Kingdom Hearts 1, and Jafar still wants revenge. He wants Agrabah, he wants power, and he wants to punish Aladdin and Sora for trapping him in the first place. Aladdin questions Iago because Iago was there when Jafar was released. At first, Iago tries to avoid telling the full truth. He has been trying to prove he has changed, but now everyone is suspicious of him again. Aladdin warns him that if he is lying or hiding anything, their friendship is over. That pressure finally breaks Iago. Iago admits that he knows where Jafar is. He says Jafar is hiding in the desert ruins, so Sora, Donald, Goofy, Aladdin, and Iago head toward the desert to stop him before he can attack Agrabah. When they reach the palace walls, a massive sandstorm blocks the way to the ruins. For a moment, it looks like they cannot move forward. Then Genie appears. Genie is happy to help Aladdin again, and he clears the sandstorm with his magic. With the storm gone, the path to the sand-swept ruins opens. This begins one of the most unique sections of Agrabah's second visit. Sora has to ride magic carpet through the ruins. During this part, Sora is separated from Donald and Goofy. He is still able to fight, but the movement feels different because carpet carries him through the air. Sora has to fly around the ruins, fight Heartless, and chase what appears to be Jafar's shadow. The shadow moves from place to place, stopping just long enough to summon Heartless or charge magic before disappearing again. Sora follows it across the ruins, fighting enemies like rapid thrusters, hook bats, and fortune tellers. The fight is not a normal boss battle, but it creates tension because Sora is chasing Jafar deeper and deeper into unfamiliar territory. Eventually, Jafar's shadow leads Sora to a distant tower. After defeating more Heartless, a monument appears on the tower. This monument shows Sora 3 magical switches hidden around the sand-swept ruins. To open the tower, Sora has to find all 3 switches and activate them with the correct magic. Each switch is built around timing. One switch requires thunder magic when the orbs line up correctly. Another requires blizzard magic when the orbs form the right pattern. Another requires fire magic when the orbs come together in a circle. After all 3 switches are activated, a timed door opens in the tower, and Sora has to fly back quickly before it closes. This section makes the ruins feel like an ancient magical puzzle, not just another battlefield. Once inside the tower, Sora and the others reach the ruined chamber. But Jafar is not there. That is when Iago finally confesses the truth. He admits that Jafar made him bring everyone there. Jafar used fear and pressure to force Iago into leading the group away from Agrabah. Iago tries to explain that he was scared and that Jafar can be very convincing, but Sora and the others are angry because Iago was supposed to be their friend. Then Iago reveals the worst part. While they were chasing shadows in the ruins, Jafar was probably attacking the palace. Before they can fully react, Iago accidentally triggers the ruins to collapse. Carpet rushes in to save them, and Sora escapes the crumbling ruins on magic carpet. During the escape, Sora has to fight Heartless while flying through the collapsing passages, knocking enemies out of the way and avoiding falling debris. The group makes it back to Agrabah, but now they know Jafar's trap worked. They rush back to the city and confront the peddler. The peddler finally admits what happened. He snuck into the palace and heard a voice promising him a reward if he released it. That voice was Jafar. The peddler claims he may have been under a spell, but Sora knows greed had a lot to do with it. Then the peddler reveals something even more important. The treasure in his shop did not come from Jafar. It came from a man in a black coat. That means Organization XIII was involved. The man in the black coat gave the peddler treasure so he would keep quiet about Jafar's return. He also claimed he would destroy Jafar after turning him into a Heartless. This connects Agrabah's Disney story back to the main Kingdom Hearts 2 plot. Organization XIII is not just watching Sora from a distance. They are interfering in the worlds, manipulating events, and trying to create more Heartless so Sora will defeat them with the Keyblade. Every heart Sora releases helps the organization build Kingdom Hearts. After learning the truth, Sora, Donald, Goofy, Aladdin, and Iago rush to the palace. There, they find Jafar holding Jasmine prisoner. Jafar is exactly what everyone feared. He is free, powerful, and ready to take over Agrabah again. He wants to make Jasmine his queen and force the entire city to bow before him. When Jafar sees Iago with Sora's group, he becomes furious. To him, Iago is a traitor. Jafar prepares to punish him, but when Goofy protects Iago with his shield, Jafar changes targets and fires a blast toward Aladdin. Then Iago makes his biggest choice. He flies in front of the attack and takes the hit meant for Aladdin. This moment is very important for Iago's character. Throughout Agrabah's story, everyone has questioned whether Iago has really changed. He was selfish before. He served Jafar before. He lied, hid things, and tried to protect himself. But when the moment comes, he chooses to protect Aladdin instead of saving himself. That act proves Iago really does want to be better. Jafar, now furious, transforms into his giant genie form. This begins the final boss fight of Agrabah's second visit, Genie Jafar. The battle takes place in the sky above Agrabah, with Sora riding Magic Carpet. This fight is completely different from most boss battles because Sora is flying the entire time. Donald and Goofy are not fighting beside him in the normal way, so Sora has to rely on movement, timing, and Carpet's speed to survive. Jafar is huge, and his head is the main target. But attacking his head directly can be difficult because he moves around, casts spells, and throws pieces of Agrabah at Sora. A good strategy is to attack Jafar's stomach first. Damaging his stomach can stun him, making it easier to reach his head. When Jafar is stunned, Sora can use reaction commands like Roll Up and Spin Burst to wrap around Jafar, spin him out of control, and create a longer opening for attacks. During the fight, Jafar attacks with fireballs, lightning, melee swings, and flying debris. At times, he throws huge buildings and pieces of the city at Sora, forcing him to dodge while flying toward Jafar. Later in the battle, Jafar can surround the area in darkness and send constant debris flying at Sora, making the fight more chaotic. This boss fight feels big because Jafar is not just standing in a room waiting to be defeated. He is attacking the entire city. Agrabah itself becomes the battlefield. Sora has to dodge magic, avoid buildings, strike Jafar's stomach, use reaction commands, and then attack his head when the opening appears. Eventually, Sora defeats Jafar again. This time, Jafar is destroyed. His lamp melts away, ending the threat that began back in Kingdom Hearts 1. Agrabah is finally free from him. After the fight, Genie appears and helps repair the damage done to Agrabah. In true Genie fashion, he offers to make the city even more amazing, but Aladdin asks him to restore it just the way it was. That choice matters, because Agrabah does not need to become something bigger or flashier, it just needs to be safe again. Iago survives the attack, though he is hurt. After everything that happened, Iago worries that he still is not a good friend. He thinks friendship means he has to prove himself by doing something huge. But Sora explains something simple and important. Friends do not always have to do big things for each other. Sometimes being friends means spending time together, having fun, and being there. That lesson gives Iago a softer ending. He made mistakes. He was scared. He almost betrayed everyone. But in the end, he protected Aladdin and proved his heart was changing. Before Sora leaves, Aladdin also gives him encouragement about the friend he is searching for. Sora is still looking for Riku, and Aladdin tells him that he believes Sora will find him. This small moment connects Agrabah's story back to Sora's own journey. Just like Aladdin refuses to give up on his friends, Sora refuses to give up on Riku. At the end of Agrabah's second visit, Sora receives the fire element, upgrading his fire magic to Faraga. Agrabah's second visit is important because it gives closure to Jafar's story. The first visit was about keeping Jafar sealed away. The second visit shows what happens when greed, fear, and manipulation release him again. The peddler's greed lets Jafar escape. Organization XIII uses the situation from the shadows. Iago's fear causes him to lead Sora into a trap. Jafar attacks the palace and tries to rule Agrabah again. But in the end, friendship wins. Iago proves he is not the same selfish bird he used to be. Aladdin protects his home. Sora defeats Jafar once and for all. And Agrabah is restored. This second visit is not just about fighting a giant genie in the sky. It is about second chances, trust, and the choice to do the right thing even after making mistakes. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy arrive in Halloween Town for the first visit in Kingdom Hearts 2, the world immediately brings back that spooky, playful feeling from the first game. The town is filled with curled hills, twisted buildings, glowing pumpkins, and a strange charm that makes it feel creepy and fun at the same time. The trio arrives and soon runs into Zero, Jack Skellington's ghost dog. Zero flies off, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy follow him, hoping he will lead them to Jack. This brings them deeper into Halloween Town, where they reunite with Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King. Jack is excited, but not because of Halloween. This time, Jack has discovered something completely new: Christmas. After following Jack, Sora's group enters a new area connected to Halloween Town called Christmas Town. The entire mood changes. Instead of dark streets and pumpkins, the world becomes snowy, bright, colorful, and filled with holiday energy. Jack is amazed by it. He loves the idea of Christmas and becomes determined to understand it, even though he does not fully understand what makes Christmas special. Sora, Donald, and Goofy meet Santa Claus, who is not exactly thrilled about Jack's excitement. Santa knows Jack means well, but he also knows Jack has caused trouble before by trying to take over Christmas. Still, Jack wants to help, and the group soon learns that something dangerous is happening. Lock, Shock, and Barrel are causing trouble again, and Maleficent appears with plans of her own. She wants to bring back Oogie Boogie, the villain Sora defeated in the first Kingdom Hearts. Oogie is eventually restored, but because he has just come back, he is confused and does not fully remember what happened before. Even so, he quickly returns to his old ways and becomes a threat to Christmas Town. Before dealing with Oogie, Sora has to face one of the main bosses of this visit, the Prison Keeper. The Prison Keeper is a large flying Heartless that captures Lock, Shock, and Barrel. The fight is unique because the boss changes depending on which one of the three troublemakers it swallows. If it swallows one of them, it gains different attacks and abilities. This makes the battle feel chaotic, which fits Halloween Town perfectly. Sora has to stay alert, watch the Prison Keeper's movements, and attack whenever there is an opening. When the boss gets close to the ground and tries to swallow one of the kids, Sora can interrupt it with a reaction command. This temporarily stuns the Prison Keeper and gives Sora a chance to land strong combos. The battle is not just about attacking nonstop. It is about watching what the boss does, reacting at the right moment, and taking advantage of openings. Once the Prison Keeper is defeated, the story moves back toward Oogie Boogie. Oogie takes over Santa's workshop, causing chaos with the toys and machinery. This leads to the boss fight against Oogie Boogie, which is very different from a normal fight. Instead of simply standing in one arena and attacking him, Sora has to move through conveyor belts while Oogie stays farther away, controlling the battlefield from above. During the fight, Sora has to deal with enemies and hazards while trying to reach Oogie. The conveyor belts constantly move, making positioning important. Sora also has to use the present launching mechanics to send gifts back at Oogie and create openings. Once Oogie is knocked down or brought close enough, Sora can attack him directly. This fight feels playful, strange, and very fitting for Oogie. It is not just about strength, it is about handling the chaos of Santa's workshop, using the environment, and staying focused, while Oogie turns the whole battle into one big twisted game. After Oogie is defeated, Christmas Town is saved for now. Jack begins to understand that Christmas is not something he can simply copy or control. He may love the holiday, but Santa is the one who truly understands it. Jack's excitement comes from a good place, but the story shows that good intentions can still cause trouble when someone rushes into something they do not fully understand. By the end of the first visit, Sora, Donald, and Goofy help protect both Halloween Town and Christmas Town. They stop Maleficent's plan, defeat the prison keeper, take down Oogie Boogie, and keep Santa safe. This first visit is important because it blends two worlds together: the spooky fun of Halloween Town and the warm magic of Christmas Town. It also gives Sora another reminder that every world has its own heart. Halloween Town is strange and spooky, but it is not evil. Christmas Town is bright and joyful, but it still needs protecting. And Jack, even when he makes mistakes, shows that curiosity and excitement can lead to growth when guided in the right direction. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy return to Halloween Town for the second visit, the story shifts away from Oogie Boogie and becomes a mystery about stolen Christmas presents. The world begins with Jack Skellington still caught between Halloween and Christmas. Jack has not given up on the idea of understanding Christmas, and he is still fascinated by the joy, surprise, and meaning behind giving presents. When Sora's group arrives, Jack is trying to help Santa Claus by gathering presents and bringing them back to Christmas Town. At first, it seems like Jack is simply being Jack, excited, dramatic, and determined to be part of Christmas in his own strange way. But when the presents are brought back to Santa, Santa realizes something is wrong. Presents have been stolen, and nobody knows who took them. Before Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Jack can fully investigate, they hear a noise coming from inside the toy factory. The group heads upstairs into the wrapping room, where they find Lock, Shock, and Barrel causing trouble. This leads into the Lock, Shock, and Barrel event battle. This fight is not like a normal boss fight where Sora simply defeats the enemies and moves on. Instead, Sora has to knock each of the three troublemakers down and then use the capture reaction command to trap them inside boxes. The trick is that they can escape if Sora takes too long. So the player has to stay focused, defeat them quickly, line up the box properly, and capture all three before they recover. Once Lock, Shock, and Barrel are caught, it seems like they might be the ones behind the stolen presents. But after questioning them, the group realizes they are not the real thieves. They may be troublemakers, but this time, they are not the ones stealing Christmas presents. Then Sally arrives with more bad news. Heartless have appeared back in Halloween Town Square, and they are playing with presents. Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Jack rush back to Halloween Town to stop them. In the town square, the Heartless are carrying stolen presents, and Sora has to defeat them to recover the gifts. This section is important because it makes the mystery more confusing. At first, it looks like Lock, Shock, and Barrel might be guilty. Then, it looks like the Heartless are responsible. But the real answer is still hidden. After recovering the presents, the group returns to Santa's house. Jack comes up with an idea. If they cannot find the thief directly, they can lure the thief out. To do that, Sora helps make fake presents in the toy factory. This becomes the gift wrapping minigame, where Sora uses the toy cannon to fill boxes with toys. Lock, Shock, and Barrel run around the room trying to interfere, so Sora has to keep filling the boxes while keeping them under control. Once the fake presents are ready, Santa tells the group where to set the trap. They place the decoy presents in Christmas Tree Plaza and wait for the thief to appear. Then the real culprit is revealed. Dr. Finkelstein's experiment. The experiment is a moving puppet created by Dr. Finkelstein. It was not stolen, and it was not being controlled. It ran away on its own. The mystery comes together when the group realizes the experiment was stealing presents because it was searching for something it did not have: a heart. This leads to the final boss fight of Halloween Town's second visit. The experiment is a strange, unpredictable boss. It attacks with its body, fires, lasers, slams the ground, and eventually breaks apart into separate pieces. When it separates, the fight becomes more chaotic because the different body parts move around independently and attack from different directions. One of the key mechanics of the fight is the kickspring reaction command. When the torso separates, Sora can use kickspring to launch it into the other pieces, damaging the experiment and helping bring the fight under control. This makes the boss feel different from a normal enemy because Sora is not just attacking one target. He is managing all the scattered pieces and using the reaction command at the right time. After Sora defeats the experiment, the mystery is solved. Santa explains that the poor puppet may have only wanted a heart. This changes the tone of the story. The experiment was dangerous, but it was not stealing presents out of pure evil. It was trying to understand something it did not have. It wanted a heart, and because it saw presents as something meaningful, it began taking them. Sora feels bad for it after hearing this. Then Sally explains the real meaning of a present. A gift is not special because of the box, the ribbon, or how it looks on the outside. What matters is the feeling behind it. A present is a way to give your heart to someone else. It is the wish deep inside you to make another person happy. This becomes the emotional lesson of Halloween Town's second visit. Jack finally begins to understand Christmas better. He realizes that the gift itself is not the point. The heart behind the gift is what matters. Christmas is not something he can fully understand by copying decorations, sleighs, presents, or Santa's job. It is about giving from the heart. At the end of the visit, Santa gives Jack a special experience by letting him ride in the sleigh. Snow begins to fall over Halloween Town, becoming a beautiful present for everyone there. Jack is confused at first because there is no box and no ribbon, but Sally helps him understand that this is still a gift. The world ends on a softer and more meaningful note. Jack receives a gift from Sally, not as an object, but as a feeling. He feels happiness, warmth, and connection. For a world built around scares and Halloween, this moment gives Halloween Town a surprisingly gentle ending. The second visit to Halloween Town is important because it is not really about stopping the experiment. It is about understanding the heart behind giving. The experiment wanted a heart. Jack wanted to understand Christmas. Sally understood that love and kindness are what make a gift special. And Sora learns that even something strange or broken may simply be searching for the feeling of having a heart. By the end, Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Jack solve the mystery of the stolen presents, defeat the experiment, protect Christmas Town, and help Jack understand the true meaning of giving. Halloween Town's second visit is not just a spooky holiday adventure. It is a story about presents, hearts, and the idea that what matters most is not what is inside the box, but the love behind giving it. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy arrive in the Pride Lands for the first visit, the world immediately changes them in a way no other world has before. Instead of walking in as their normal selves, they are transformed into animals to match the world around them. Sora becomes a young lion cub, Donald becomes a bird, and Goofy becomes a tortoise. This gives the Pride Lands a completely different feeling from every world before it. Sora cannot use his dry forms here. He cannot use summons either. He moves differently, attacks differently, and has to adjust to fighting on four legs. Lion Sora is fast, but he does not fight the same way regular Sora does. He relies more on speed, movement, jumping attacks, magic while moving, and new lion form abilities. The visit begins in a dangerous area near the elephant graveyard, where Sora, Donald, and Goofy quickly realize that the Pride Lands are not peaceful. The land feels dry, empty, and broken. Something is wrong here. Soon, they run into Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed, the three hyenas. At first, the hyenas see Sora as an easy meal because he is only a cub in this form. But before things can get worse, they are called away. leaving Sora's group to continue exploring. After moving forward, Sora sees Nala being chased by dangerous Heartless called Living Bones. This leads into the first major combat encounter of the world. The Living Bones are large skeletal Heartless that attack by biting, stomping, and creating shockwaves. Since Sora is in lion form, this fight teaches the player how differently combat works in the Pride Lands. Sora has to use speed, air attacks, and reaction commands to stay in control. One of the important reaction commands here is Rodeo. Sora can jump onto a living bone and ride it, using its movements to damage nearby enemies. Then he can finish with Grand Cross, breaking the living bone apart and creating a major opening. This makes the fight feel wild and animal-like, matching the world perfectly. After Sora saves Nala, she realizes that he is not from the Pride Lands, but she also sees courage in him. Nala explains that the Pride Lands are suffering because Scar has taken over as king. Under Scar's rule, the kingdom has become dry, lifeless, and dangerous. The animals are struggling, and the balance of the land has been broken. Nala is searching for someone who can challenge Scar and restore the kingdom. At first, she thinks Sora might be able to help, but when the group reaches Pride Rock, the truth becomes clear. Sora may look like a lion, but he is still a cub. He cannot simply become king and take Scar's place. At Pride Rock, Sora's group meets Rafiki, the wise shaman of the Pride Lands. They also see Scar, who is ruling the kingdom with cruelty and arrogance. Scar is not alone either. Pete is there with him, trying to take advantage of the chaos and push the world deeper into darkness. This connects the Pride Lands to the larger Kingdom Hearts 2 story. Scar's rule is already corrupt, but Pete's presence shows that the Disney villains are still trying to use troubled worlds for their own goals. Scar dismisses Sora because he is only a cub, but Sora, Donald, and Goofy do not give up. Nala tells them that there is someone else who should be king, Simba. This is important because Sora already knows Simba from Kingdom Hearts 1, where Simba appeared as a summon. But now, Sora is going to meet Simba in his own world. Nala explains that Simba left the Pride Lands long ago. Everyone believed he was gone, but there is hope that he may still be alive. If Simba returns, he can challenge Scar and take his rightful place as king. So Sora's group leaves Pride Rock and begins crossing the Pride Lands to find him. The journey takes them through the savannah, wildebeest valley, the wastelands, and the jungle. Along the way, Sora fights more Heartless, including aerial knockers, silver rocks, living bones, and shamans. The Pride Lands is a huge open world compared to many other places in Kingdom Hearts 2. Because Sora is a lion, the game gives him the dash ability, allowing him to run quickly across wide areas. This makes traveling through the savannah feel fast and free, like Sora is really moving through a wild animal kingdom. Eventually, the group reaches the oasis. There, Sora finally reunites with Simba. At first, this should feel like a happy moment. Sora has found his old friend, and the Pride Lands may finally have hope. But Simba is not ready to return. He has been living away from the kingdom with Timon and Pumbaa, trying to avoid the pain of his past. Simba believes he is responsible for his father Mufasa's death. This guilt is the emotional center of the Pride Lands' first visit. Simba is not physically weak. He is afraid. He is carrying shame, grief, and fear. He does not believe he deserves to be king. Even though Nala needs him, even though the Pride Lands are suffering, Simba does not know if he can face what happened. Sora, Donald, and Goofy try to encourage him. They remind Simba that running away will not fix the Pride Lands. They help him understand that the kingdom still needs him and that he cannot let Scar continue destroying everything Mufasa protected. This is where Simba begins to change. He starts to remember who he is. He remembers that he is Mufasa's son. He remembers that he has a responsibility to the Pride Lands. And with Sora's help, he finds the courage to go back. Before leaving the oasis, Sora receives the Circle of Life Keyblade, connecting the world's theme directly to the idea of balance, responsibility, and the natural order. Now Simba joins the party, and the group returns to Pride Rock. When they arrive, Scar is still in control, the Pride Lands are still broken, and the animals are still afraid. Simba confronts Scar, but Scar immediately attacks the deepest wound in Simba's heart. He brings up Mufasa's death. Scar tries to make Simba feel guilty again. He wants Simba to collapse emotionally before the fight even begins. Scar knows that Simba's greatest weakness is not his body, it is his belief that he caused his father's death. For a moment, Simba struggles. But then, the truth begins to surface. Scar's manipulation starts to fall apart, and Simba realizes he cannot keep running from the past. He has to face Scar. Before Simba can fully reach Scar, the hyenas interfere. This leads to the first true boss-style fight of the visit: Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed. The battle takes place in the King's Den, and Sora's goal is not just to defeat the hyenas, he also has to protect Timon and Pumbaa. This makes the fight more than a simple attack battle. The hyenas move quickly, run around the area, and try to cause chaos while Timon and Pumbaa are vulnerable. Sora has to chase the hyenas down, attack them when he catches up, and keep them away from Timon and Pumbaa. If the hyenas get too close, Sora can use the call-over reaction command to bring Pumbaa to him and help control the situation. The hyenas are not as powerful as Scar, but they are fast and annoying, which fits their role perfectly. They are not honorable fighters. They attack in groups, run around, and try to overwhelm the situation with chaos. Once Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed are defeated, the path to Scar opens. Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Simba chase Scar up toward the peak of Pride Rock. This leads to the main boss fight of the Pride Land's first visit: Scar. Scar is a dangerous boss because he is fast, aggressive, and unpredictable. He does not fight like a slow monster, he moves like a predator. He lunges, slashes, pounces, and races around the arena, forcing Sora to keep moving. Because Sora is still in lion form, the player has to fight Scar without drive forms, without summons, and without normal guard. That makes movement and timing extremely important. Scar has multiple attack patterns. At first, he fights with quick melee strikes, claw attacks, and fast pounces. If Scar grabs Sora, the counter-reaction command can appear, allowing Sora to break free and strike back. As the battle continues, Scar becomes more dangerous. He begins using elemental attacks, surrounding himself with fire, lightning, and dark energy. In his fire phase, he leaps around the arena and leaves fire trails behind him. In his thunder phase, he calls down lightning around himself. In his dark aura phase, he charges across the battlefield with dark power surrounding him. The player has to watch Scar carefully, stay mobile with dash, and attack when he leaves himself open. Simba is also important here because his limit can deal strong damage and give Sora a chance to pressure Scar during dangerous moments. This fight is not just about defeating a villain. It is about Simba finally standing against the one who destroyed his family, took his kingdom, and kept him trapped in guilt for years. Scar represents everything Simba has been running from. He represents the past. He represents fear. He represents the lie that Simba was responsible for Mufasa's death. By fighting Scar, Simba is not only trying to save the Pride Lands, he is finally facing the truth. After Scar is defeated, the Pride Lands are saved. Simba takes his rightful place as king, and the balance of the land begins to return. The world that felt dry, empty, and broken now has hope again. Scar's rule is over, Pete's interference has failed, and the animals of the Pride Lands finally have the king they were waiting for. Sora receives an upgrade to Fire Magic, turning it into Fyra, and the journey continues. The first visit to the Pride Lands is important because it gives Sora one of his most unique world transformations, but it also tells one of the strongest emotional Disney stories in Kingdom Hearts 2. Sora becomes a lion, Donald becomes a bird, and Goofy becomes a tortoise. The party learns how to fight in a completely new way. Nala shows them a kingdom suffering under Scar's rule. They find Simba hiding from his past. They help him remember who he is. They protect Timon and Pumbaa from the hyenas. And finally, they stand with Simba as he defeats Scar and becomes king. The Pride Land's first visit is not just about restoring a world from darkness. It is about responsibility. It is about grief. It is about learning that running from the past only lets fear grow stronger. Simba begins this visit as someone hiding from who he is. But by the end, he stands on Pride Rock as king. And with Sora's help, the circle of life begins to move again. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy return to the Pride Lands for the second visit, Simba has already taken his place as king. Scar has been defeated, the Pride Lands are beginning to recover, and Simba is finally standing where he was always meant to stand, at the top of Pride Rock. But being king is not as simple as defeating Scar. When Sora's group arrives, they quickly learn that something strange is happening across the Pride Lands. The kingdom is being haunted by what looks like Scar's ghost. The ghost has been appearing around the land, frightening the animals and making everyone question whether the kingdom is truly safe. This is especially hard on Simba. Simba may have defeated Scar in the first visit, but that does not mean all of his fear and doubt disappeared. Scar spent years manipulating Simba's guilt. He made Simba believe he was responsible for Mufasa's death. Even after learning the truth and taking back the kingdom, Simba is still learning how to carry the weight of being king. That is the heart of this second visit. The enemy is not just a monster. The enemy is Simba's doubt. Sora, Donald, and Goofy head to Pride Rock to speak with Simba. Inside the king's den, Simba is clearly troubled. He is king now, but the appearance of Scar's ghost makes him wonder if he is truly ready to lead. He wants to protect the Pride Lands, but he is afraid that Scar's shadow is still hanging over him. Simba joins the party, and the group goes to speak with Rafiki in the Stone Hollow. Rafiki helps explain what is really happening. Scar's ghost is not just a simple enemy wandering around. It is connected to Simba's own weakness and fear. As long as Simba doubts himself, Scar's shadow can keep appearing. This makes the second visit more emotional than the first one. In the first visit, Simba had to face Scar directly. In the second visit, Simba has to face what Scar left behind inside him. After speaking with Rafiki, Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Simba leave Pride Rock. As they travel, Scar's ghost appears again. The ghost is not a powerful boss, but it keeps showing up as a reminder of Simba's fear. Sora can defeat it with a finisher, but it does not feel like the real problem has been solved. Because the ghost keeps coming back. That is what makes it dangerous. It is not strong because of its attack. It is strong because of what it represents. Simba is still haunted by the idea that he may not be good enough to rule. The group continues investigating and eventually heads to the elephant graveyard, where they run into Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed again. The hyenas are still causing trouble, and this leads to another battle against them. This fight is different from fighting a giant Heartless or a major villain. The hyenas rely on speed, chaos, and running around the battlefield. Sora has to chase them down, land combos, and keep them from overwhelming the situation. Because Sora is still in lion form, movement is very important. He has to use his speed and dash attacks to catch up with them. Simba helps during the fight, and his Wildcat limit can deal heavy damage if used at the right time. The hyenas are not the true final threat, but they are part of the chaos left behind by Scar's rule. They represent the old disorder of the Pride Lands, the trouble that still remains even after Scar is gone. After the hyenas are defeated, Simba's confidence is still shaken. Scar's ghost continues to affect him, and Simba begins to feel like he is failing as king. Instead of standing firm, he retreats. He leaves Pride Rock and goes back toward the oasis. This is important because the oasis is where Sora found Simba during the first visit. Back then, Simba was hiding from his responsibility. He was living away from the Pride Lands with Timon and Pumbaa, trying not to think about his past. Now, in the second visit, Simba returns there again. That means his fear is pulling him backward. He already became king, but part of him still wants to escape the pressure. Sora, Donald, and Goofy follow him to the oasis. There, Simba is forced to confront Scar's ghost again. The ghost taunts him and makes him feel like he will never be a true king. It attacks the deepest fear Simba has, that he is only pretending to be strong and that he can never live up to Mufasa. But this time, Simba does not stay broken. With Sora and his friends beside him, Simba begins to understand that being king does not mean never feeling fear. It does not mean never doubting yourself. It means choosing to stand up anyway. Simba finally faces Scar's ghost with courage. And when Simba's heart becomes stronger, the ghost disappears. This is the turning point of the second visit. Simba realizes that Scar only has power over him if he allows his doubt to control him. Scar is gone. The kingdom belongs to Simba now. And even if he is still learning, that does not mean he is unworthy. After Simba regains his confidence, the group returns to Pride Rock. But the danger is not over. A massive Heartless appears in the savannah. This is the final boss of the Pride Land's second visit, Ground Shaker. Ground Shaker is one of the largest Heartless Sora fights in Kingdom Hearts 2. It is a giant beast-like Heartless with a shaman-like Heartless riding on its back. The creature is so huge that the battle feels completely different from the Scar fight. Scar was fast, personal, and emotional. Ground Shaker is massive, destructive, and overwhelming. The fight begins immediately with reaction commands. Ground Shaker stomps around the battlefield, creating huge shockwaves. Sora has to use Leap to avoid the stomps. Then, when the timing is right, he uses Fend to push back against the monster's final stomp and knock it off balance. If the reaction command sequence is done correctly, Ground Shaker is stunned, giving Sora and Simba a chance to attack its weak points. The first weak points are Ground Shaker's eyes. Sora has to jump up and attack the eyes with aerial combos. Because Sora is still in lion form, this fight uses his fast movement and aerial attacks heavily. He has to stay mobile, dodge shockwaves, and attack when the boss is open. After taking damage, Ground Shaker recovers and changes the fight. Now Sora has to use the Leap reaction command to jump onto Ground Shaker's back. This is where the real core of the boss is revealed, the shaman-like Heartless riding on top of it. The rider attacks with lightning magic and other dangerous strikes. Sora has to attack the mask and keep pressure on the rider while avoiding the storm of attacks around him. Simba's limit is extremely useful here because it can deal heavy damage while Sora is on the boss's back. As the battle continues, Ground Shaker becomes more aggressive. It jumps, stomps, creates shockwaves, and fills the field with lightning and fire. Sometimes its head twists around, making the eyes easier to reach again. Other times, the rider becomes the main target, forcing Sora to climb back onto the monster and attack from above. This fight is about controlling chaos. Sora cannot just stand still and attack. He has to move with the boss, dodge its shockwaves, use reaction commands at the right time, attack the eyes when they are exposed, climb onto the back, and damage the rider when the chance appears. The battle ends only when Sora lands the final blow on the shaman-like core. Once Ground Shaker is defeated, the Pride Lands are safe again. Sora receives the final Thunder element, upgrading his Thunder magic into Thundaga. Simba also gains strength from the battle, and the second visit comes to a close. The Pride Land's second visit is important because it gives Simba's story a deeper ending. The first visit was about Simba returning home and defeating Scar. The second visit is about Simba learning how to live after Scar. That is a very different kind of struggle. Scar may be gone, but his influence still haunts Simba. His voice still echoes in Simba's doubts. His shadow still makes Simba question whether he deserves to be king. But by facing the ghost, Simba proves that Scar no longer controls him. This visit shows that becoming a leader is not just about winning one battle. It is about continuing to stand strong after the battle is over. It is about carrying responsibility even when fear returns. It is about learning that doubt does not make you weak, as long as you do not let it rule your heart. By the end of the Pride Land's second visit, Simba has truly stepped into his role as king. The ghost of Scar fades, the hyenas are defeated again, Ground Shaker is destroyed, and the Pride Lands can continue healing. For Sora, this world is another reminder that darkness does not always disappear all at once. Sometimes, even after a villain is defeated, the pain they left behind still has to be faced. And in the Pride Lands, Simba finally proves that he is not just Mufasa's son. He is the king. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy return to Twilight Town for the second visit, the world feels familiar, but something is wrong. Twilight Town has always had a strange connection to Sora, even if he does not fully understand why yet. This is the town where Roxas spent his final days. This is the town where Sora woke up after sleeping for a year. And now, When Sora returns, the town once again becomes a place where the larger mystery of Kingdom Hearts 2 starts to pull him deeper. The visit begins in Tram Common, where Sora's group runs into Vivi. Vivi is panicking and calling for help because something has happened to Cypher and his friends. Sora, Donald, and Goofy do not waste any time. They follow Vivi toward the Sandlot, the same place where Roxas once fought in the Struggle tournament. When they arrive, they find Cypher, Rai, Fu, and Vivi caught in trouble. Nobodies have appeared. This leads into the main combat event of Twilight Town's second visit, the Sandlot Nobody Battle. At first, Sora fights a group of Dusks. These are the basic nobodies he has been seeing since the beginning of the game, but they are still strange enemies because of how they move. Their bodies twist, bend, and slide around unnaturally. Sora can use the reversal reaction command to slip around them, avoid their attacks, and create openings. But then stronger nobodies appear. Berserkers. The Berserkers are much more dangerous than Dusks. They carry huge weapons and hit hard. If Sora rushes in without thinking, they can knock him around quickly. The key to fighting them is to force them to drop their weapon. Once a Berserker drops its weapon, Sora can use the Berserk reaction command to pick it up. This turns the enemy's own strength against them. With the Berserker weapon in hand, Sora can use attacks like Eclipse and Magnastorm, dragging nearby enemies together and damaging multiple nobodies at once. This makes the Sandlot battle feel like more than just a random enemy wave. It is a test of how well Sora can handle nobodies now that Organization XIII's threat is becoming more direct. After the nobodies are defeated, the story takes a more serious turn. A man in a black coat appears. This is Saïx, a member of Organization XIII. Saïx is calm, cold, and intimidating. Unlike Axel, who is emotional and unpredictable, Saïx speaks with control. He does not act like someone trying to win a fight right away. He acts like someone who knows more than Sora does. This is important because Sora still does not fully understand Organization XIII. He knows they are connected to nobodies. He knows they are watching him, but he does not yet understand how much they are using him. Saïx tells Sora that Axel is now acting on his own. Axel is on the run, and Saïx warns that Axel may do anything to turn Sora back into a Heartless. This matters because Axel's obsession is really tied to Roxas. Axel wants Roxas back, and because Roxas is Sora's nobody, Axel believes Sora is the key to reaching him again. Sora does not understand all of this yet. All he knows is that Axel is dangerous, Organization XIII is hiding something, and Riku and Kairi are still missing. Sora tries to get answers from Saïx, but Saïx gives him only pieces of the truth. He mentions Riku in a way that makes Sora even more desperate. When Sora thinks about chasing Saïx through the dark portal, Saïx warns him that if he jumps in blindly, he could end up like Riku. That line hits Sora hard. Sora has been searching for Riku since the beginning of the game. He believes Riku is still out there somewhere, but nobody will tell him where he is. Every time Sora hears Riku's name, it reminds him that his best friend is close enough to be mentioned, but still too far away to reach. Then Saïx disappears, leaving Sora with more questions than answers. After Saïx leaves, Cypher approaches Sora. Cypher is still proud and stubborn, but he recognizes that Sora helped protect the town. In his own way, he admits Sora is strong. He gives Sora Cypher's trophy, saying it should belong to the strongest guy in town. Sora does not really want the trophy, but Goofy ends up holding onto it. This seems like a small moment at first, but the trophy becomes important later because of the blue crystal orbs attached to it. Then Pence arrives and asks Sora a question that changes the entire mood. He asks if Sora knows a girl named Kairi. Sora immediately reacts. Kairi is one of the people Sora has been searching for. She is supposed to be safe back on Destiny Islands, waiting for him and Riku to come home. But Pence's question means Kairi has somehow been in Twilight Town. Sora rushes to meet Hayner, Pence, and Olette at the station plaza. There, they explain what happened. Kairi came to Twilight Town looking for Sora. She had left Destiny Islands because she wanted to find him, and somehow she ended up in this town. Hayner, Pence, and Olette met her listened to her story, and tried to help her. They believed that if Kairi stayed in Twilight Town long enough, maybe Sora would come back and the two of them would finally reunite. For a moment, it sounds like Sora was close. Kairi was here. She was in the same town. She was with the same friends who once knew Roxas. But Sora arrived too late. Hayner, Pence, and Olette explained that Axel appeared and took Kairi away through a dark portal. Pluto followed after her, but Kairi was gone before Sora could reach her. This is one of the most painful moments of Twilight Town's second visit. Sora finally gets real news about Kairi, but the news is that she has been kidnapped. He was so close to finding her, but missed her again. This makes Sora's mission even more personal. He is not just traveling world to world because the king told him to. He is now chasing the people he loves before Organization XIII and Axel can use them. Sora becomes quiet and upset. He wants to save Kairi immediately. But before the group can move on, Goofy accidentally drops Cypher's trophy. The blue crystal orbs break loose and roll across the ground. Hayner, Pence, and Olette each pick one up, while Sora and Goofy hold the others. As they hold the orbs into the sunlight, something strange happens. Sora suddenly sees himself as Roxas for a brief moment. He does not understand what it means, but the player does. Twilight Town is still connected to Roxas. Hayner, Pence, and Olette were Roxas's friends in the simulated Twilight Town, and even though the real versions of them do not remember Roxas the same way, the connection still echoes through Sora. This moment is quiet, but it is important. Roxas is gone, but he is not truly gone from the story. His memories, his feelings, and his connection to Twilight Town still live inside Sora. After this, a new route opens for Sora's journey. The path forward leads the group toward the next major chapter, and Sora receives the Oathkeeper Keyblade. In Final Mix, this is also where Sora receives Limit Form, a drive form that brings back several of his old Kingdom Hearts 1 abilities. The Oathkeeper is especially meaningful because it is tied to Sora's promise to Kairi. In Kingdom Hearts 1, Kairi's lucky charm represented the promise that Sora would return it to her. Now, after learning that Kairi has been taken, receiving Oathkeeper feels like the story reminding Sora of that promise. He has to find her. He has to find Riku. And he has to uncover what Organization XIII is really doing. Twilight Town's second visit is not a long world chapter, and it does not have a traditional boss fight. But story-wise, it is extremely important. It introduced Saïx directly. It shows that Axel is acting outside the organization's control. It confirms that Kairi left Destiny Islands to search for Sora. It reveals that Axel kidnapped her. It strengthens the mystery around Riku. It brings Roxas's presence back into the story through Sora's strange vision. And it gives Sora, the Oathkeeper, a Keyblade connected to his promise to return to Kairi. By the end of this visit, Twilight Town once again becomes more than just a peaceful sunset town. It becomes a place of missed reunions. Sora misses Kairi by only a short amount of time. Hayner, Pence, and Olette help him without fully understanding how connected they are to Roxas. Saïx gives Sora just enough information to hurt him, but not enough to help him. And Sora leaves Twilight Town carrying even more emotional weight than before. This second visit reminds us that Kingdom Hearts 2 is not only about fighting Heartless and Nobodies, it is about memory, promises, and the pain of being separated from the people who matter most. Sora came back to Twilight Town looking for answers, but he leaves with a new wound. Kairi is gone, Riku is still missing, Roxas is still a mystery, and Organization XIII is waiting somewhere in the darkness. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for notifications. See you in the next one.